Hey, welcome everybody to the very first episode of Talk the Talk JR. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to talk to everyone or have everyone listen to us have a discussion today. To my left, your right is a young man that I happened to meet a couple years ago. His name is Randal Hurd, and for today, I'm going to call you Randy. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so thanks for joining me and kicking this off. So if we mess up together, I guess it'd be okay.
Yeah.
Is that good with you?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
good.
All right. So just a little bit, go over how we met. I got a call from basically layman's terms a job placement guy, and he said, "Hey, go over to this job." And I said, "Well, what's that job?" And really, what it boiled down to was just a bunch of international people coming over and learning how to do things the good old American canoe club way, the Navy way.
Yeah.
And so I show up, and there's this old gruffy guy there, and he's on the other end of the building, and didn't know much about it. So I had to walk around a lot and get to talk to people. And I met you, and they said, oh, this is our swim instructor and our PT guy, and every day you come into PT with me in the morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I said, absolutely not. And now that you're up here, you probably see why I didn't want to go that early. But yeah, how did we met? And I just want to kind of touch when we met, what you kind of were doing, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like for the last 37 years, I've been training internationals, prepping them a preparatory course before they go to some of our different schools, to include SEAL training, EOD, dive school, and also rescue swimmers. And then I also train pilots, survival swimming, physical fitness, whatever their course of training requires from them. And then we try to get them in better condition, better swim, aquatic skills before they go on to that different school to give them a better chance of making it through. So for 37 years I've been doing that.
Okay, 37 years. That's quite a bit of time. And you said a couple things in there, and SEALs and EOD. We're talking EOD. For those out there that have no idea, what's EOD?
EOD stands for Explosive Ordnance Disposal, and these are the guys that if you find a bomb in a car on the side of the road, they go in and they have the materials, the protective gear that they need to defuse that bomb.
That sounds ridiculous. So if they run, I run. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'd recommend it. If they run, yeah, you run.
Okay, all right. So I'd say we worked together about 2.5 years.
Yeah,
Is that
probably
right?
about 2.5 years.
Well, I don't want to get into that now, but I find it a young fellow like yourself, with that gray Fu Manchu. I tell you, I'm kind of curious. 37 years of training those and pilots and all. I'm kind of curious what gives you those credentials, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But are you from here?
Yes. Yeah,
Well, let's
born in Pensacola.
born in Pensacola,
Yep.
and you still live in Pensacola today.
I do.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
well, when were you born?
I was born in 1957 in the Baptist Hospital, the old Baptist Hospital that was down on East Street.
Okay.
And my mom and dad, our house was only about 3 blocks from there. So I tell people I was born with a mustache, and they made me walk home.
Okay, all right. So you probably don't remember much about the 50s if you're only 3. So what about the 60s and 70s?
Oh, wow, the 60s and 70s, what a good time. I wish we could go back there and the way the world was at that time with less technology and all that kind of stuff, just like we're doing right now. You wouldn't see a podcast back in those days.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, Pensacola was a great place. Of course, a lot less people than are here now. It was a quiet place. Back in those days, my dad worked for the phone company, and he had a 57 Wheelies Jeep, same year I was born, and you could ride on Pensacola Beach anywhere you wanted to. And my dad was born in Pensacola and used to roam the dirt streets of downtown barefooted until he was about 10 years old. But we did a lot of fishing, and we did a lot of driving down the beach. I learned how to tell time on the beach. My mom told me what was going on in the world because she would stay in the Jeep and read the National Enquirer. And then every few hundred yards, as my dad waded down the beach mullet fishing, she would drive the beach down. And my sister and I, we would crab. I had a cast net that I was trying to learn how to throw. And at the same time, I always had Army guns with me. So when I got tired of fishing, I would go up in the sand dunes and play Army. And I don't know how many times I've dug a hole in the sand and water will come up, and I sit there and drink the water, like I'm some warrior out in the field or something. And who knows?
And
I never got
as a
sick.
kid.
Yes, as a kid, at probably 10 years old. And I used to drive on the beach. I started driving as soon as I could reach the pedals. As soon as we hit the sand, my dad would get out, and then my sister and I would fight over who was going to drive because we both loved to drive. But I've driven every speck of sand on Pensacola Beach, I guess you could say.
Do you still have family in the area?
Yes, I've still got a sister. Unfortunately, at my age, I've lost my parents and a lot of my uncles and aunts. But I have a sister that lives in Gulf Breeze, or I think it's called Midway, the area where she lives.
Okay. Well, what did you leave the area a lot growing up, or when was the first time you left, or maybe something of that nature?
Yeah, back in those days, and there's a lot of, even nowadays, a lot of people never left their hometown. We had relatives in Birmingham area, Tuscaloosa, so we did a lot of, short vacations, go to my uncle's lake for a week and fish and go visit relatives. I can remember when I was probably maybe 5 or 6, so I don't remember it real well. We made a trip down to Miami, and boy, has that place changed. There was not, and every place has changed that's near the water like that, but
Sure.
Miami has really changed since those days.
Sure. What made you leave Pensacola? Yeah, I know you. There is a point where you left Pensacola.
Yeah.
When did you leave Pensacola, and where did that start? Did you go Orlando? Did you go north? Where'd you go?
Yeah, well, what I did is I was lucky enough. I think I attended about every school in Escambia County.
That's
And,
lucky, or is that by design?
Well, I don't know what you call it. School and I didn't get along too well, but I ended up finishing up actually at, back then it was called PJC, and I finished up at their adult high program. And a lot different going to school. I went at night and I worked during the daytime. And I was lucky enough to have an assistant principal. I'm sure we've lost him now, but his name was Mr. Harris. And I had my first love back then, and we broke up. I went into the adult high program one evening, and I was just to go and say hi to him because he was a big influence on me and helped me, I guess you could say, finish high school. And he asked me one time, he said, I'm worried about you. What are you going to do with your life? So at that moment, I decided that I was going to join the Navy. And I wanted to be a quartermaster, which in the Navy is a navigator on a ship.
Okay.
And I wanted to learn navigation real well. And I thought to myself, I can save money, I can learn navigation skills, and then I can get out and I can buy a sailboat and I'm going to take off and sail around the world. Never really sailed that much. Been around the water on power boats and all that, but not much of a sailor. And so once I entered the Navy, they sent me to Orlando. Back in those days, we had a boot camp in Orlando.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Disney World sailor. Got it.
Yeah. And so you know, maybe after a few weeks in boot camp, they on our schedule, they said recruitment video for UDT SEALs, and I didn't really think they existed anymore. So you know, we had to go anyway. I watched the video, and I had started diving in 1974. And
Just on your own?
Yes,
Okay.
took a course at a place called Skipper's here back in the day. But I started thinking, okay, I can still learn navigation. I love diving, and I like physical things. I was a big baseball player and all. And so I decided, you know, raised my hand, volunteered, and next thing you know, I'm off to Coronado, California, going through underwater demolition SEAL training.
Okay, so only because I know nothing about that, but only because I know about the other part. You're saying that you joined the Navy, went to Disney World to be a quartermaster, and then before you ever got out of Navy boot camp, you saw something about SEALs come in. They come in and talk about SEALs, and they show you the action-packed video. It's probably the same one I saw, just changed the colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't even finish boot camp before you decided I'll go try this?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So listen, so I am going to say something here, and I don't want to step on your toes at all. You know you're crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my hat's off to you. I'm an aircraft mechanic by trade. Okay. So, wow. What year was that?
I joined in 1976, December.
Okay.
Considered the Vietnam era GI Bill, and 6 months of delayed service. I went in May of '77. And in September, October timeframe of '77, I went to Coronado to start training, and then, of course, graduated in 1978.
Okay. So when you showed up in Coronado, I know nowadays there is a what is it called, a SO rating, Special Operators rating, right?
Yes.
But back
SEAL,
then,
SEAL operator.
oh, SEAL operator. Okay,
Yeah.
that shows you how much I know. I don't even know the community. I spent my life in an aviation community. But what? So back then there wasn't one. So didn't you have to go in designated as something else?
Yes, as a quartermaster.
So you did qualify as a quartermaster.
Yeah, I missed that. I went to boot camp, came home for a week, went back to Orlando for quartermaster A school,
Okay.
and then
Went out to there.
And a quick little story there too,
Okay.
because when I finished quartermaster school, and we were getting orders, I'm sure you know how that goes. Somebody said, "Hurd, you want this?" And I wasn't sure what they were talking about because I didn't know that much about orders. And he says, "You're going to UDT SEAL training in Coronado." And I said, "Yes, sir, I do want it." He said, "There's not a course starting for about a month, so you want to go home for a month?" And I'm thinking, this thing is working out great. I can join the Navy. I'm getting paid. I'm getting everything I want. Now they're letting me go home for a month. I didn't understand that I was going to be in the hole and leave. I just thought, but I chose to go home. The first day, the next day when I got home in the afternoon, the next morning I woke up about 4:30 in the morning. I'm starting to train for what I have been told is the hardest training in the world. So I threw an old pair of hunting boots in the back of my Jeep truck, threw an old Boy Scout knapsack in the back, and I went to Pensacola Beach. A lot different than it is now. I went down probably somewhere around where Portofino is now, parked on the side of the road, put my boots on, got out of the truck, filled the knapsack with sand, and I started running. And now boot camp is not that hard, so I'm not in real good shape right now. So I start running, and I run across about 3 sand dunes, and I got 2 big blisters on my heels. I limped back to the truck, poured the sand out of the knapsack, took my boots off, and for the next month I drank beer. So I showed up to SEAL training
Ready to go.
not ready to go.
No, ready to go.
Not ready to go. Physically. Now, mentally, I was there.
Well, so that was in '78 you finished SEAL training?
Yes.
So you said what you were told was the hardest training in the world. So I'm not going to let you sit here and minimize that. Mentally, physically, they take it all. Like I'm not going to look. I'm not going to pretend to know, but I will say that I do know percentage-wise. Not only do they take a small percentage, out of that small percentage, they take even smaller percentage finish.
Yeah.
So, first of all, no laughing about this or smiling. I know we're having fun, and this is a great time we're having here, and it's an honor to sit here with you. I will say that men like you in the past have done a lot, and thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
And then now we can go back to having fun. That's about as sentimental as I'm going to get.
All right.
All right. So, how long did you, once you became an operator or once you became a SEAL and left training, where were you stationed at first? If you don't mind me asking that.
Well, my first duty station was in Little Creek, Virginia.
I know it well.
Back in my time, there were underwater demolition teams, which you associate that term more with frogmen.
Okay.
Okay, and there were SEAL teams.
Okay.
UDT, SEAL, you go through the same training. You're all the same people. It's just different teams, different areas of responsibility, different mission. I love the water, of course, from being from here. So
Sure.
I chose in the beginning to go to a UDT team. So I went to Underwater Demolition Team 21.
So from what I hear what you're saying, but from what I understand or what I've read, you all went through the same training.
Yes.
And you kind of lined up, and this is just to help out
Yeah.
for the viewers,
Yeah.
right? That don't have the experience or whatever. But if I'm wrong, please correct me. You just kind of lined up, and they were like, SEAL, UDT, SEAL, UDT. It's kind of like that. You were the same. It's just that's kind of.
Well, you're all in the same training, and then at the end, it's like everything. Even high school, I think nowadays, pick your three, your number one, your number two, number three duty station. So you're trying to get the coast. SEALs are only, as far as operational SEALs, are only on the West Coast or the East Coast. Virginia Beach.
Back then.
Yes, even now.
Oh, okay.
As far as the operational commands, there's
Okay.
other satellite commands and things like that do support a lot of times the operators when they come in to do training in an area.
Okay.
So,
But one's not lesser than the other.
No,
They're
no.
both equal. They
no,
both in each other's
could have,
eyes.
yeah, I could have spent a year in UDT and then I could have decided, like, say, if I was re-enlisting or something, I could have re-enlisted and said I want to go to SEAL Team 2
Okay.
or whatever.
That's what I was just trying to clear
Yeah.
it up. It's
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that was '78. You went to UDT out of you said Little Creek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in 1980, don't remember month-wise, but I was actually planning on getting out of the Navy, and
So
I
basically
had
a 4-year ride.
yeah, it would have been 4 years, and
Okay.
I was planning on getting out, coming back home, maybe figuring out that sailboat thing or something like that, but. I found out one thing: you don't make a lot of money when you're in the Navy. But anyway,
Isn't that the truth?
I was in what is called a headquarters position. I was working on dive gear, making sure all the gear was ready for operational platoons and all. And somebody needed a body to go on another North Atlantic cruise, which is up near Denmark, Norway, Scotland, and that area.
Okay.
And so I said, and it's typically only about 3 months. So I said, sure, I'll do that. I'll help you out, and then I'll get on that particular platoon. So we went up. We had to do some work in Scotland. We actually flew over on a military aircraft, and we had to do some surveys of some of their beaches. We had to make We had to make charts for the Navy because we don't have any charts of that area, and that was part of our job. And that's an interesting fact right there, because what happens is, and in that case it was different, but if it was a real world situation, war, take for instance Normandy, one of our boats goes high speed down the coast, and then we have one of our rubber boats on the side. It's called IBS, inflatable boat, small, the way they name things in the Navy. And we get down in the boat, of course, trying to keep a low profile, and we go out of the boat. We roll out of the boat every 25 yards, and we basically form a swimmer line, okay? And then we start going into the beach. We have lead lines. We have a little fishing weight on orange shot cord, and we have knots tied on it at different depths. And we have a back in those days, we had a plexiglass little writing pad, and we had to, you had to sand it so actual writing could appear on it, because you typically got to use a pencil. And we start swimming in, maintaining distance and all, and we were responsible for 21 feet inward. So as soon as we're dipping our little lead line, and as soon as we hit 21 feet, somebody raises their hand and we mark that position. He may not be at 21. And then we continue to swim in, and as we're swimming in, we submerge and we swim, and we're looking for obstacles that could stick up higher, and a landing craft, or possibly, as you know, LSTs can get pretty close to the beach. So we're looking for all those obstacles. We go in, at the time, we were only responsible to basically the high water line. So a couple of guys would go in and take sand samples, and then everybody would swim back out and get recovered. And recovery is basically sticking your arm out, and a guy puts a big thick rubber ring around your arm that has a bungee on it, and when it comes tight, it pulls you in the boat. Probably why I have bad shoulders. But and we go back out, and we have a couple of guys in the platoon that are called cartographers. They take all of our slates and they make a chart of that beach, and all the obstacles are marked. And then we get demolition packs ready, and now we're going back and we're rolling over to the side again, but somebody's also throwing our demolition packs if we've got 2, 3, 4, whatever. Now we swim back in the same order that we were on, and I find that obstacle and I go down and I rig it with those explosives. I may have 4 obstacles rigged, and a couple of guys come around and use detonation cord, which is a high explosive. They run what is called a trunk line all around these obstacles, and we tie into it, and then we leave, and those last 2 guys, they have a board that they have made up, and they hook into that det cord, and then they pull 2 fuses, and then they go. And they're the last 2 to be picked up, and hopefully they get picked up, and maybe a minute later or so, the whole field goes off, and all those obstacles are no longer obstacles for those landing craft. So that's what I did for a while, and when I was over on that
and that's what kept you after 1980?
Well, no. When I was on that North Atlantic trip, we had just completed about a 6-7 day exercise in Denmark, and we went back out to the ship, and our lieutenant came up to us and called out. I think there was maybe about 5 of us, and they said, "Hey, there's this new team starting up."
I'm going to stop you real quick.
Okay.
Because is this going where I think it's going?
Yeah.
Okay. So earlier I had mentioned, and you had brought up that you were training foreign partners, and you brought up the SEALs, the EOD, the pilots, and you said 37 years of doing that training, and that's amazing. And then I said 2.5 years we worked together. Now I don't know any recent numbers, right? And I'm not gonna ask you for the recent numbers. I don't want anybody to know this, but recently, right? But I'll give some old numbers. That way you're not saying it, and I'm retired. They can't. I don't want anybody to, out there. I don't want Mr. Randy to be jeopardized. But I'll tell you, when I was there, depending on the year, the international command that I speak of here in Pensacola, NAS Pensacola, we fortunate enough, depending on the year. 74 to 78 foreign partner nations would come through there a year. And that all depends on that year. That's a lot of foreign relations and partnerships that is being built right here in Escambia County by sailors, by contractors, by Marines, by civil service. It is amazing, and I was in the Navy for right at 20 years and never knew it existed. So it is an amazing feat, and I think we're about to find out. Earlier I said what made him qualified, and I think we're about to find out what made him qualified. But out of all, I do want to ask before we get into that, out of all the years that you've been there, I don't want you to put a number, but just give me a rough estimate. How many countries do you think you've been involved with creating that partnership?
I can pretty much tell you exactly. It's about 76.
76, okay.
Countries.
Yeah. Probably unfathomable amount of students. Just when I was there, I could tell you by yearly, but...
Yeah, compared to U.S. training, not as many, but, but well over 1,800, I would say, at least.
So, and partnerships aren't built. I'll just say this: and partnerships aren't built in the time of need. They're built before the need arises. So the man, again, sitting here with me, has spent 37 years making that bridge and those partnerships a reality when that need arises. So again, just more ways the unsung heroes. Now, the next part, I found, I did not even know when I first started. I didn't know for the first 6 months. I was told by a fellow worker there. I didn't believe him when I found this out. So then they had to pull up this Discovery documentary, and I found it interesting. I want him to share it because, again, a part of this podcast I wanted to start was the unsung local heroes. And again, here we go, and I do want him to get into this. Again, great man here, and I want him to explain it so you can hear it. So, what kept you in the service after the 1980?
Okay, well, that in Denmark, I decided, I would be one of those 5 to come back and go through an interview for a special team. So we flew back to Virginia Beach, and maybe a day at the house, and then the next day called in from for an interview with at the time Commander Dick Marcinko.
Dick's his real name?
Yeah. Well, Richard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately we lost him a couple years ago. But,
yes, sir.
He was interviewing us for this new team that was going to be called SEAL Team 6. And it sounded pretty interesting to me. And so I volunteered again, and I was chosen. I was one of the first maybe 70 guys there, 70 SEALs and a couple of support people.
You said you volunteered again?
Yeah.
And you were chosen? So the Navy, it stands for never again volunteer yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So SEAL Team 6, here we go. You volunteered again. So.
Yep. So I am considered a plank owner of SEAL Team 6.
What does plank owner mean? Yeah,
plank owner in the Navy, whether it's a new command, a new ship, if they start that command or they commission that ship and you're the first crew on it, you are considered a plank owner. And with that you get a certificate, and it's pretty elaborate, and it uses a lot of old nautical terms and all that, and it basically says that I am an owner of SEAL Team 6. So, and that's, wherever it is now, wherever it ends up, anytime they have any kind of function or something, a plank owner or anybody that's ever been there is always invited back because, we help start it, and we're a big part of it. So I did that for about 5.5 years, and that was in the early days. So,
Sure.
and I won't take any credit for being any kind of war hero or anything like that. I was in mainly during peacetime, but we helped. I guess you could say develop a lot of lessons learned, like these boats don't work, because we trained extremely hard. It wasn't uncommon as we're running. Just to give you an example, I've been 100 miles off the coast of Destin back in those days, and we're running so hard, and didn't matter if the seas were 10 feet, 12 feet, didn't matter. We would lose a complete engine off the boat. That happened on numerous occasions. So remember the early days, because we're overpowered on the boats and everything. We're running hard. We are sitting in seats that actually had, at the time, the best motorcycle shocks you could get. We're running formation, things like that. We're running, maybe 35, 40 miles an hour in heavy seas. And you get bored if you're just along for the ride. So one time a boat launched off of a wave, and I timed it, and he was in the air for like 18 seconds before it actually came down. So, and the boat is, at a very different angle and everything. So some of the things you used to do to keep from getting bored, because it's really boring running 100 miles out to sea, and all you're doing is sitting there.
Catching sea spray.
Yeah. So I spent about 5.5 years there, and then when I left there, of course, Pensacola being my hometown, there was water survival diving, the helo dunker type job opening up. So I was going to get out after that. I decided I was going to get out. Nothing going on. I felt like I was a brain surgeon, and nobody ever brought me a brain to work on. So, and back then was sort of the beginning where the United States was starting to see more issues with terrorism on our people. Some of the things that happened back there, I can't remember the exact name of them, but there was an aircraft that was hijacked. There was a cruise ship that was hijacked. Different things like that. Grenada, I went to Grenada, but because of timing, ended up mainly just staying on the airfield standby to go and help somebody if they needed it. And did 3 years in diving the helo dunker and training pilots in water survival. That was, that my background as a SEAL, and then that qualification as a Navy water survival instructor pretty much landed me the 37 years. So I guess you could really say that I have been serving my country in some capacity for the last 50 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Half a century.
It's half a century, and it's over half my life. Too.
So, I do have a question. Arguably, I don't even know if it's arguably, but 6 was probably the most recognizable, famous team out there. Is it arguably?
I think it is, and it's unfortunate that that's happened.
Correct.
We do our job. We help protect our country. Nowhere on that contract did it say go write a movie or go make a movie or write a book.
That's right.
A lot of people don't agree with that. It's, sometimes they think it's giving away our secrets and stuff like that. But But yeah, we're pretty famous because I think you know who Bin Laden fell to was SEAL Team 6, and all of my brothers, that came after me, they've done an excellent job, and unfortunately, they've paid the price for it too, and because it's a hard job, and it some of the things, they hurt your mind and your body. Yeah.
So I did that for the shirt just to read it, but I asked that for a very reason of I know you kind of downplayed it a little, but I will say this: a solid foundation built the eventual capture of Public Enemy #1.
Yeah.
And he took the credit and did the sole event that I joined the service for. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure I mention that. But so you come back and we say that you're doing the foreigners, but I am not going to let you get away with just saying that you train foreigners. I'm going to say this. We had, when I was there, we had students that man, they just wouldn't run. Or they just couldn't run or pass the run, or they couldn't do the pull-ups. And I remember one day, I don't know if you were there, if it was another gentleman, I'm not going to say his name on here, but I was out there for something, and it wasn't for that. We were doing something else with another group. I don't know if you remember that day, but he was actually getting worse in his run time, and I ran in uniform with my boots around a lap with him, and I was like, "There's no way that you're going to let this old, overweight senior chief outrun you." And finally, he picked it up, but then the next day it just went back, bad. But do you remember that? But you would always invite me out there to go running early, and I had to turn you down. There's no way. What do you? I don't want to get the exact age. Over 70?
No, I'm 67.
67.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what it was.
I'll be 68 in December.
So you're over 60. I was slightly over 40, and I can't keep up with you. So don't. So
Well, let me put it this way: you could now.
I could now.
Yeah, because that's one thing that happens to a person when they. And like I said, I didn't do all the war stuff.
Sure.
It punishes your body to the point where when you get older, you pay for it. And everybody as you get older, but some of the things we do, it's a little above and beyond. We're willing, you've heard the phrase sacrifice your body. We did it a lot.
Okay. Well, and it's not diminishing. You still went through the training. You still did the preparations. You can't just go through the training and stop training.
Yeah, and
it's still hard on the body.
Yeah, and Josh, let me tell you this too, and for your audience, there are more fake SEALs in the United States than there ever has been real SEALs. So that's
really
something to think about.
How would?
Why or how?
Yeah, like I don't even know why you would do that, but how? Like, there's so much that you would have to fake.
There's
That's crazy to me.
Unless you are talking to someone that knows a lot about it, you can say anything you want. Somebody's going to believe you, because as soon as you say the word SEAL, they're going to, all of a sudden they're going to forget everything else you say. But you asked me why. Girls, jobs, there have been fairly high officials. I don't know if there's a governor, but there have been some fairly high officials that, they got the job because of it, and then they get exposed and they lose the job.
Hey, so it's you bring that up. I'll tell you this: I was an aircraft mechanic, and when people ask me what I did, I say, hey, at my previous job, I was an aircraft mechanic, right? Not to say anything crazy, but I thought I was a pretty good aircraft mechanic.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, who did you work for? I'm like, just airline. But who I worked for was who I think is one of the best airlines out there, is the United States Navy airline, right? So,
maybe some Air Force guys disagree with that.
Well, it's not my problem. That's theirs.
Yeah.
That's theirs. But so you're from here. You drank water from the sand. So you played army at the beach and in the woods. You did all this, and you went to Disney World to become a sailor. And I'm only picking on you because I shoveled snow. Mm-hmm. It's the only one available. Then you went out and you UDT SEAL. So obviously you're an adrenaline junkie. So that's what I say.
Used to be.
Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s, you took an interview and you became, for civilian viewers, you became a founding member of SEAL Team 6. For me, I get it. And the military viewers, a plank owner of 6. And then you decided, what year did you decide to hang up?
1988.
88.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you got through, okay. So 10 years? 11 years?
12.
12 years.
Yeah.
My math off? My math's off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was 11, almost 12. I say 12.
You say 12. Okay, so my math's off. I went to school in Georgia. Don't fault me. So, brought you back. You've been in, like you said, service to our nation, our wonderful nation, for 50 years. Now, before we get to what brought you back, since you said that, service to our nation, 50 years, that's half a century, and I was kind of saying that jokingly. With it changing and now kind of maybe changing back, and I think it changes maybe every time the vote changes or so. I'm going to say that. I'm saying this out loud. He's not saying this. I'm asking a question. But do you, maybe with the direction that it's going with the Secretary of War or whatever, do you like the way it's going? Maybe?
Oh, yeah.
The direction?
I mean, I'm not... politically, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not asking that part. I'm just saying how the service.
I think it's going to head that direction. I think everything takes time, and especially if you've got 8 years or whatever of a particular party, and then things are going to change. It's going to take a while to change.
That's right.
So I think it's. I have noticed. If you think about that 50-year career of mine, I've been on a military base. I've been on board NAS Pensacola for 40 years. So I have seen a tremendous amount of change in the sailors coming in, because the world of technology and everything. I tell you what, we should have some of the best drone pilots and things like that in the world, with all the video games and stuff. But I've seen a lot of change, and I think we're heading in the right direction, and I do still care, but roughly in a little over a year, all I'm going to look at is my happiness until the end of my life, because I'm going to retire and I'm going to travel and have fun.
So, now that we got that out of the way, as I retired. When I decided it was time to come home to my family and raise my own kids and not other people's kids, right? And I say that in a way because every year the new crop or the new recruits would come in, and they would come to the command or they would come to the ship, and it's a very big responsibility, because that's somebody's brother or sister, that's their children. And even today, it's someone's mother, father. And I'm not saying you're raising them. I'm saying, you're more than just a coworker. You are you're their mentor. You're the coworker. You're their friend. You're their de facto family, because they have been separated from that. So you become the world of those people. So, anyway, when I chose to come home to my own family, right, and retire, the plan was not to stay here, right? Because I didn't know what I was getting into when I came here. I knew I went to school here, and then when I moved back here, I said, well, let me get closer to not only my family but my wife's family, right? So when I got here, it didn't take long, and I knew I was staying here.
Yeah.
So, but I have my own reasons. But I want to know, being born in 57 and growing up 60s and 70s, you came home. So why did you come home? What about Pensacola and the Escambia area brought you?
Well, you know, it's
kept you?
funny. It's funny you say that too, because I did notice, in the military family I have, and most of my career was all SEAL team, but you know, of course, met a lot of other people in the military. Very, very, very close family. Do anything in the world for you. And I noticed that most of those guys, and you know how the Navy is. You know, I've been to Birmingham, I've been to Miami, but I haven't been to New York City, and
That's
so
right.
you're meeting all these people. And it was funny. I noticed it seems like nobody is talking about like they want to go back home. Like I wouldn't want to go back to New York City anyway. I'm sorry, but I'm not a city kind of guy.
Sure.
But I don't know. Pensacola, the water. Hurricanes. I don't worry about hurricanes. They come and they go. You know, and where can you go? You go to North Carolina, you can get a hurricane. You go out west, you can get problems. You know.
Sure.
I like the people. The things that I did when I was a kid, to the beach, hunting different areas around here. My grandparents lived 4 blocks from my house, so I was there a lot. I lived right by Pensacola High School also. I spent a couple years there too, but a few different schools. But the people, the place, the weather, it has gotten hotter now, but back in the day when I was young, it didn't bother me at all. But now I stay indoors in the summertime, and then I work hard in the wintertime because I just, I'm older. I can't handle the heat as much. But I love the place. It's growing. I don't know if I can, maybe in the remainder of my life, I can still enjoy it because when I retire, now I can go fishing during the week when everybody's at work.
Yeah.
And I can stay home on the weekend when everybody's going around because I love people, but I'm tired of being around a lot of them,
Sure.
I'm ready to just relax in my life. True retirement. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yes.
I will say that I'm retired, living on a fixed income, so I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
My
I
friend.
will.
I hope you enjoy it.
I will.
I will say that before I close it off, I say this. I thank you very much for coming on Talk the Talk, JR. Again, like I said, it's the first one. You're the first guest. I enjoyed having you. I enjoyed letting you tell the story to the people, and again, my goal is to let people be heard, and I think you were heard.
Yeah.
But before I close out my end of it, do you have, with all your experience and everything you've done, do you have some advice, not only for me, but for the audience that's listening, that maybe you could reach to them?
I have a couple things
Okay.
that I would like to say, I'm sorry that I can't quote the author, I guess you could say, but because you change as you get older. You get changed as I'm a lot closer to the end of my life than I am the beginning, but I'm very interested, and because of being a SEAL, what happens in the mind. The mind controls everything. And a lot of people nowadays are having issues, social anxiety, all kinds of issues and everything. And I used to think that in order to be a SEAL, you had to be extremely motivated. And the other day I saw a statement, and it said basically that motivation is not the problem. You got to have discipline. Because I can be motivated to go running tomorrow. I can be motivated to take better care of myself and all that. I'm motivated to do that, but unless I have discipline, I won't do that. And I'm like, wow, that really kind of helps me out a little bit here because I'm very interested in the brain. I may study it a little bit, And the other thing that I saw that might help people is thoughts are not facts. So a lot of people, you know, and I remember this. I had anxiety, a little bit of anxiety, you know, when I was a lot younger and everything. And you know, you walk into a room, you think, wow, everybody's looking at me, and you kind of, you know, get that, you know, not confident in yourself and everything. And that's somebody's thought. It's not the fact. If you look around, nobody's looking at you. So I thought that was a very good saying, and it was some Asian philosopher and all
Sure.
that kind of stuff that said that. So those would be two things to really think about, and I think they can help you with your life. And then as one other thing I'd like to say is, as a whole, what's going on in the world today and all that kind of stuff. And I have tried to teach this and live this to my kids is, you know, everybody's going to have a different opinion. And when somebody's got a different opinion, I tell my kids, kill them with kindness. If you use kindness in anything you're doing, nobody can get mad at you. And you might change somebody's attitude. You may turn it around. So I'm just trying to live life calm, kind, and, you know, when I retire, a lot of those buddies of mine that are getting knee replacements and hip replacements, I can take off for a week, don't have to worry about it. I can go help them out because we're all getting older and everybody needs help, you know. So be kind and help your brother.
Well, sir, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed this.
Hey, it's been an honor to be the first podcast.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, just thoughts.
Yeah.
Just they're not
thoughts.
facts.
Yeah.
I was, you know, to go on that, what you just said, that's kind of weird because I kind of nervous. I've never done podcasts before, you know. Just, you know, since I've retired, I've just kind of done different things.
Yeah.
But you know, I live by something. It's a quote, Stephen McCraney, and it says, "The masters failed more than the beginners even tried."
Yeah.
So, I'll tell you, before I close it up and we walk out of here, I will say, I happened to run into a real nice man. I don't even remember his last name, but I'm going to say, I'll say his first name, and if he gets mad at me, that's fine. His name's Ryan. And he absolutely, by the way, there's no charge to watch this. There's no fee you have to pay, and nobody pays me. Totally free service. I do all this, and the other videos I have, I just do it on my own. Go out and highlight our wonderful county and talk to our wonderful people. But when I run into people that serve and do things in our county that's selfless and do it because they want to promote good feelings or good times, I will say that I ran into Mr. Ryan, and he owns Big Jerk Soda Company. And I'll tell you what, I tried his cherry Pensacola. I've tried his pineapple upside down. I've tried his sodas. I tell you, he's got, you know, this tangerine dream and this cherry soda here. Hey, very nice. I took a tour of his place. It's very nice people, and he's got a great business. And his product is wonderful tasting. And there's only 6 ingredients in it, and they're natural. Nice carbonation feel. But I'll tell you this, just a plug for him because he's a nice guy and the business is wonderful. Again, no monetary value for me, don't care. But I will say this, but when I end, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you listening to Talk JR. And now that me and Randy have talked the talk today, we both want you to go out with us and try to walk the walk, all right? Hey, have a great rest of your day and week, and we'll see you next time.